Hi, my name is John, and the other day I was flicking through the Mayfest catalogue, and one of the main themes that I picked up on was death. Death, 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 death. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in thinking that death is a very weird concept to understand. And now at 24 and somewhere in between a young person and a grown-up, I feel like I've experienced a good range of deaths. I can't say deaths for a start, death. Last year I went to my 10th funeral, and to celebrate that achievement I now present to you 10 deaths that have occurred in my life. Let's do this. Number 1. The first death that I ever experienced was when I was about 9. My great aunt died, and I remember being at her funeral and thinking that I should be crying because that's what my mom was doing next to me. I didn't cry. I didn't actually remember meeting my great aunt while she was alive, and that was that. Number 2. When I was 11, I woke up in the middle of the night because the light outside my bedroom door was on. This, I discovered, was because my parents had just found out my grandpa had died from a very unexpected and sudden heart attack. I cried a lot. For his funeral, I wrote a poem about him travelling the world and generally having a really great time, which I printed out in gold, Times New Roman font, and then read in front of the entire funeral service. It was only a couple of years ago did my parents reveal that I'd actually reduced the entire funeral congregation to tears. At the time, I had absolutely no idea. Bonus round. This is the first of several bonus rounds that I'm adding to spice things up a little bit. Cast your minds back to 1998, Christmas Day. I wake up, I see my presents, I grab them, I leap out of bed to find that my pet fish Sooty had jumped out of his tank and was lying on the carpet and had been there for a very long time. My dad had to kill Sooty later in the day. Merry Christmas! When I was 15 and following quite a long battle with cancer, my grandma was moved from the hospital to a nursing home, and she died on the first night that she was there. We were told it was very peaceful. I didn't cry at all, nor did I feel the need to write a poem for her funeral. Number 4. At school I was entered into some kind of maths contest, back when I could actually do maths, alongside this very lovely girl called Laura. We both made it through to the next round of this contest, at which point she passed away. We had very little to do with one another, but she made a massive impression on me. Number 5. When I was 16, I was out shopping with my mom when we were told that one of our family friends had been found having committed suicide by hanging himself. The day before, he had actually phoned my family's house. I picked up, and in a deceptively calm voice, he had asked if my parents were in. I told him they were out at work, and he said that that was okay. I was the last person out of my entire family that he spoke to, and to this day, that still feels weird. Bonus round! There are 2 celebrity deaths that have stuck in my mind ever since being told about them. The first one being Amy Winehouse. I was in my university kitchen with my housemates. And the second being Michael Jackson. I was on a plane coming back from Corfu with my ex, and we were surrounded by the people we've been sharing the resort with and trying to avoid for the last week. Number 6. That same ex had only ever known one grandparent, her nan, who eventually became quite ill and later died. Which was weird because I was feeling genuine sadness for somebody else's grandparent. Number 7. After my ex's nan's funeral, I then drove home to be told that my own grandmother had died from cancer. Number 8. Less than 4 days after that, I then watched another of my family members die in hospital. Needless to say, I was a little bit numb at this point. Let's have a bonus round. I remember being very, very young, squashing an ant with my finger, instantly regretting it, and then vowing never to kill another ant again. I promptly broke this vow when I accidentally put a black ant in with my red ant farm colony, and to stop the ensuing massacre of my red ants, I had to kill the invader, and I'm still really sorry. Number 9. A few years ago, my uncle became severely ill, and after a painful few months passed away. This really made me question whether it's okay to describe this kind of scenario as somewhat of a relief. Number 10. Finally, my granddad was the last person in my life to die. I was at the pub with my friends when I was told. It was a massive shock. However, I stayed until we would have left normally because what else was there to do? Bonus round / spoiler alert. The wife in the first 10 minutes of Up. I cry every single time. There's tears in my eyes right now. The way in which I've presented this entire list is quite indicative. Like when someone dies, yes, they've died, but really it's actually about me. And clearly I use humour as a coping mechanism to avoid touching on the residual pain from all these deaths, which a lot of people can't deal with and deem it as disrespectful. And there's so much more that I want to talk about, like the language we use, like the difference between passing away and just death. And we haven't even explored crying properly. Like when we had my dog put down, I started crying the moment we got into the vets and then didn't stop for approximately 72 hours afterwards. And all of that makes me fascinated to find out how the people in here are going to tell stories about death and how the context of death can change everything. Like if there's a big build up and expectation, does that make loss easier to deal with? Or if it's sudden, then